My name is Norman Nieves. Last name is spelled N-I-E, V as in Victor, E-S. I'm Director of Emergency Management here at UCO. We have 4 phases that we kind of work under: mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Mitigation is how do we mitigate the incident, how do we mitigate the effects of an incident on our students, faculty, and staff and our property. Things like fire sprinklers, fire alarms, tornado sirens, things like that. That's mitigation. Preparedness is how do we prepare for an incident. So we write our plan, we test our plan, and then we rewrite our plan based on those deficiencies that we find. Response, self-explanatory. We respond to the incident. I'm not a first responder. I don't run into the fire. I don't run towards the bullets. I run towards Emergency Operations Center or the Incident Command Post and provide resources for the response. And then recovery. How do we recover from an incident? It could be something as small as a trash can fire to a building being knocked down because of a tornado. So recovery. We have short-term recovery, long-term. I also help the state and the federal government and local governments. If we have what's called a presidentially declared disaster, I would help them do damage assessment and that kind of thing, especially here on our campus, because it could mean that we get a reimbursement from the federal government for any expenses we incur during response. I work with pretty much every department on campus. I report directly to the Chief of Police, so that's obviously the main department that I work under, is the police department. But we are our own department of the Emergency Management Unit, and we consist of myself and then the 911 Dispatch Center, our communications center. I supervise those folks. We work with housing, we work with athletics, we work with academic affairs, the Nye University Center, the President's office. We work with all the different offices on campus to make sure that they have a plan in place should something happen. We talk to them about having 72-hour kits. We talk to them about purchasing storm radios or weather radios, and those kinds of things. But I also help them by providing them a template of an emergency response plan, and then they fill in the pertinent information, such as, who's the first contact, who's the second contact, and that kind of thing. We like to be a behind the scenes kind of a department. We're only really seen when there's an emergency. But some of the tools that we would use to communicate with the campus would be, number one, central alert. That would be our primary way. We can send you a text, an email, or a phone call, or any combination of those, letting you know what the situation is. And that's going to be our initial communication. Say we have an active shooter on our campus. The first thing that we're going to do is send a central alert saying possible gunman in blah, blah, blah building, take cover or stay away from the area. And as we get more and more information, we're going to send that out that way. We're also going to use what we call our voice over fire panels. We have the capability from the police department to pick up a microphone and talk to every building on campus. You should be able to hear my live voice. We can also send through that same system what's called a canned message, a pre-recorded message, letting you know what's going on. We also have that capability with speakers outside that we're going to use. We're also going to use our website. That's going to be one of the main things. We have what's called an emergency page, and if anything happens on our campus, anytime somebody tries to go to a UCO web page, it's going to be redirected to the emergency page. Another tool that we would use would be our central alert Rave Guardian app, our UCO Guardian, which we can send you a push notification through that if we needed to. But those are just some of the ways we would do that. Of course, we're going to be informing the media of what's going on. We have our public information officer that would keep the media aware, and we would provide updates as needed. And as information became available, we would make it available to the campus. When we decide that we're going to use it, takes us a couple of minutes to get logged in and to construct our message. Once we hit send, the text messages can take anywhere from 30 seconds to maybe a minute. Emails are pretty quick too. The phone calls, they can take 3 to 5 minutes. So we think within 3 minutes, you're going to find out what's going on. You'll get at least one of those 3 sources of information. We only use central alert in the case of an emergency. So we're not going to use it to say there's a home football game tomorrow or anything like that. We don't want students to become blind to the text message. So when we send it out, it's because something's really happened.
Right.
We provide all new employees get a 30-minute initial kind of orientation to the campus safety community. We bring in our police department, we bring in emergency management, we bring in environmental health and safety, and we talk to them about what to do if. We tell them about where the storm shelters are on our campus. We talk to them about where the secondary shelters are on our campus. We talk to them about what to do in an active shooter situation. We kind of prescribe to the run, hide, fight mentality. The place to be is where the shooter is not, so that's run. If you can't run and evacuate, you need to hide. And if you can't hide, you may need to fight. So we kind of talk about that, and then we expand that through different trainings throughout the year that are available to all faculty, students, and staff, called ALICE, Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. And we provide those trainings where we expand on the run, hide, fight. We talk about not just hiding, but barricading your door. We talk about things that they can do to strengthen the barricade that they put in. We may not have a 2x4 that we can put next to a door with a belt to make sure it doesn't open, but most of us guys have a belt. We can do some things with the belt to make sure that nobody gets in. So those are some of the protocols that we talk about. We also always talk about sheltering in place, what to do if, especially when hiding. About 5 years ago, we did a shelter-in-place drill here on our campus, and we had about 90% participation. It was pretty cool to see that. But and then every once in a while, whenever I get invited, I'll go and I'll talk to any class. I will talk to a group. I've talked to groups of student affairs. I've talked at academic affairs, chair meetings, places like that, and we talk about these things. The red binders they were put together by our Environmental Health and Safety Office. That happened about 10 years ago. They wrote them before I got hired, but I was one of the ones that helped put them up. We have them in every classroom and in every office suite. We didn't quite have enough for every office, but we do have them in every office suite. And that information basically tells you what to do if. So say you slip on the ice. Well, one of the things in there is, what do you do if you slip? It talks about where do you evacuate for a fire? Where do you go if we have a tornado? Part of our efforts is including that information in those red binders, but they should be available everywhere. And in addition to the binders, the holder to the binders, a plastic holder, there should be a sticker on it that tells you where you are and then where your primary severe weather shelter is for that particular building. We talk about them at every new faculty orientation and every new employee orientation. We do, and we also mention it at every like freshman orientation. This past summer, I must have done 25 Forge sessions, and we talk about those things.
Very cool.
We have, as of right now, 9 designated primary severe weather storm shelters. They are in Chambers Library, Murdaugh Hall, which currently is offline but will be coming online, Art and Design, Howell Hall, Denali University Center. Mitchell Hall is one of our newest. They have a basement now in their new addition. We have it there. Liberal Arts has a storm shelter. Thatcher Hall has a storm shelter. And the Quad has a storm shelter. That's a good question. What we do is we look at them, and it's typically a room that's like in the center corridor of a building. So for example, in liberal arts, if you're ever in liberal arts, you go into the center corridor on the first floor, you'll notice they're all secondary severe weather shelters. So there's a lot of wall space between the outside and those rooms. Typically, it could also be a restroom, and restrooms tend to have like plumbing, and so it hardens them a little bit more. And we also We try not to designate any room that's on the southwest corner of a building, because if you think about it, most of our storms come from the southwest to the northeast. So we try not to put any of those there. They're usually going to be center, more towards the northeast corner of a building. We follow the state law, and state law says no firearms on campus unless it has been cleared by the president. So if you want to carry, concealed carry, you have to get permission from the president. Okay. Now, if you are an active law enforcement officer, then obviously you have the right to carry, concealed carry. If you're a law enforcement officer and you're going to carry conceal or unconcealed, if you're going to open carry it, you have to have your badge showing somewhere on your person. That's the only thing we ask. I've had numerous students who are, Oklahoma City police officers or Edmond police officers, and they'll come and they'll tell me when I adjunct, and they'll say, I'm a police officer, I do have a weapon in my backpack, and I was like, okay. Only thing I ask, if you're going to wear it, make sure you're showing your badge. Yeah, we review our plan every year. Most of the time we do it twice a year. We'll review it. We'll just go through, make sure all the information in it is correct. We try to do an exercise, some type of an exercise with our cabinet, the president and his folks. And then based on the results of those, we come back and then we rewrite the plan based on the deficiencies that we find. About once a year, maybe once every couple of years, we get the whole bigger group together that includes like the athletic director and the director of housing, and we do exercises based on their particular areas, so that they can get a glimpse into what could happen to them as well. I would just like for this students, faculty, and staff know that we're here for you. We work for you. We make sure that the campus is safe so that you have the best educational opportunity you can have, and our faculty and staff have the safest workplace they can have. I would encourage our students to listen to the authorities when we do say, hey, we need you to do this. I would encourage them that if there is a tornado warning, to actually go ahead and go into the shelter we're going to provide. Don't do the Okie thing and go looking for it. Just listen to the authorities, because we are the professionals, and we have your safety is our top priority.